Hello, my name is Nino Gonzalez, and welcome to another episode of Making Sense. Well, in our last episode, we were talking about the Small Business Development Center with the Executive Director, Joe Ferguson, and now he was gracious enough to join me for another show to talk about the different resources that are available to small businesses, such as training seminars and classes. And thank you, Joe, for coming back and agreeing to do another show.
Thank you for inviting me, Nino. I appreciate that.
Okay, so in the last episode, we were talking more about some of the success stories that you've had and what the mission of the Small Business Development Center is and the partnerships. But now let's talk about the resources that are available. And they don't necessarily have to come to you for help, but there's classes that you offer, correct?
Exactly. You know, and it's funny that you mentioned that. I think back to a couple brothers that attended our Small Business Management Institute. And the Small Business Management Institute is a 12-week program. It meets twice a week, 2 hours each night. And they came to us at the conclusion of the program and they said, you know, we spent a lot of money, almost $20,000 on consultants, and we learned more in this course, this 12-week course, 48-hour course, than we did with the money we spent on the consultant.
Wow.
So I know from a success story standpoint, and this was an HVAC company, by the way, that we're doing the right thing. The educational seminars and workshops that we offer, we really try to tailor to the needs of the business community. We listen very intently to the business community, and we ask them at the conclusion of our seminars, is there anything else that you would like to have us offer? Because if we're not offering it, we will create it.
Right.
And the Small Business Management Institute, as I was just mentioning, has probably been our most successful offering, and it's continued for over 10 years on a continuous basis. We offer it 3 to 4 times a year, and we go through items such as strategic planning, how to identify the target market, how to create a marketing plan to be able to get those individuals to buy from you as opposed to buying from the competition, human resources issues, administration and accounting that is necessary in starting a small business, understanding financial statements and financial literacy, forecasting and break-even analysis for a small business. And then we bring in outside experts. We bring in people that are accountants. We bring in people that are human resource experts. And we also have a section on business law. We bring in two different lawyers, and they will speak to the class on what's important from a legal entity standpoint. And where else could you go and get free legal or close to free legal advice, even though the class maybe is going to cost $325 for that 12-week session, and get all these experts that you have the opportunity to talk to.
So right now the cost is $325 if I wanted to enroll in this Small Business Management Institute. It's almost like a mini MBA program, right?
Exactly. It's $325 up until 1 week before the start of the class. Then the price increases to $375.
Now, would I have to enroll in the whole 12 courses, or could I take it piecemeal at a time?
You can take it piecemeal. If you want to take a 1 week, 4-hour session, 2 hours per each night, it's $50. We do encourage most people to go through the entire course, but occasionally somebody just wants maybe the legal side of it, or the human resources side, or the financial literacy understanding. And we don't discourage them from that. In fact, we will encourage them. But we have found that once people take a segment of it, they normally want to come back the next time and take the full 12-week of courses.
And at that price, I think it's unbeatable, and it's a lot of great resource, and especially when you have experts coming in and talking to these small business owners.
And to complement that, we encourage all the participants in the class to work with a business advisor at the center. We'll help them with their business plan, because one of the requirements of the course is to create a business plan.
Right. And I know that you work with the SBA and some banks, local banks, and also some other financing entities. do they require the small business to take some of these courses as a condition of maybe obtaining financing?
You know, we actually had one of the major lenders here in the community that refers some of their clients to us, and as part of the technical assistance requirement that they want the applicant for the loan, and if the loan has been approved, they want to make sure that the individual understands more about business. So they might say, well, we want you to take this class, and if you'll take this class, we'll actually help subsidize you in the class, because we know it's of value and you're going to come out a better business owner, more educated than when you first came to us.
That's great.
And to complement that as well, I was going to mention, besides the Small Business Management Institute, another ongoing course that we have is QuickBooks for Small Business. That sells out every time we offer it. We offer it 4 times a year. Sometimes we'll offer a second course just because we have an overflow from the first. But it's a great course. It's taught by a very good instructor. She's certified as a QuickBooks Pro instructor. And we normally, for the SBMI or Small Business Management Institute, it's either taught by a CPA or somebody that has prior business background and prior teaching background with small business.
And QuickBooks is used so extensively with small businesses, and especially when I was in practice, they would usually contact me way after they started it, and they set it up wrong, and sometimes we have to start from scratch because it's harder to clean up. So I'm glad you offer that course, at least to give them that training to get that appropriate software set up correctly.
Exactly. And people find that if they will see that class through, it's an 8-week course, 2 nights per week. They come out very proficient in QuickBooks, and it's not a substitute for a CPA by any means, but at least they can do some of their own in-house bookkeeping and basic accounting, and they can use their CPA for either their quarterly reports or year-end reports or tax filing. To me, it's just a complement to what a business owner has to have.
And during one time, I think this past tax season, or even before tax season, you also partnered with the IRS to do some training, correct, for tax preparers? Is that correct?
We did some training for tax preparers. We're going to do that again this coming August. And we're also going to have a tax preparation course and tax preparedness course, so to speak, for small business coming up in June. We haven't set the firm date on the June workshop yet, but it'll be on our website coming up relatively soon, and people can follow us with all these different training programs. All they need to do is log into elpasosbdc.net, and on there you can see all of our training programs that are coming up in the future. You can read about success stories, see testimonials, and get a good feel for what the Small Business Development Center is all about.
And can they register for these courses online?
They actually can register online. It makes it very simple. And if they're intimidated by doing it online, all they have to do is call into the center, and we're able to help them by a telephone call.
So these tax courses for preparers and also for small businesses, they're conducted in association with the IRS, correct?
Yes, we partner with the IRS annually on these courses. They've been great partners with us, and we more recently we partnered with the law firm of Scott Hulse here in town, and we did a labor and employment law seminar, which we sold out. We had 200 participants here at the college for people that are basically HR professionals that want to keep current with their skills.
Well, that's terrific. All these resources and education that is available at very little cost compared if you were to go elsewhere.
Exactly.
And let me talk about some other courses that you have. I know that social media is big now for small businesses. A lot of them use Facebook and Twitter, and you've developed a course for that, right?
We have. It really is amazing how technology has changed the way businesses have to operate today. In the past, businesses spent a lot of money on yellow page advertising, radio, TV, billboards, a lot of the more what we'll refer to as the traditional methods to promote their business. Nowadays, maybe not people so much from my generation, but obviously people from my kids' generation, they're hooked on their mobile device.
Sure.
And mobile devices have become the new yellow pages for a lot of us as consumers. So we have rolled out over the last 2 years programs over and over again on how small businesses can use social media to drive customers to their business. And it's a way to market, it's low cost, but the small business owner needs to be savvy enough to know how to use it. So that's what we're doing, is we're educating them how to integrate Facebook into their business website, how to integrate Instagram, Twitter, and other social media mediums that are out there today.
Sure.
To improve their business.
A lot of big corporations, they even have a social media department that's just responsible for doing that.
Exactly.
And does this course also cover for small businesses also to maybe search online reviews on them? Because I know that's big now, and sometimes a bad review can kill your business or hurt it. Do you go and discuss into that in that course?
We do. We discuss how important it is to not only be aware of what other people are seeing and saying about your business, but be able to how to positively respond to it to take away some of those negative things. Right. I mean, if people wanted to sign up for the next course coming up, which is May 28th and 29th, it's two half-day sessions. It's only $50, and it's taught by a local expert that is literally a social media expert and works for one of the major news stations here in town.
Well, that's great. And we'll be putting up information on these courses on the screen so people can be aware about it, and also the contact information for the Small Business Development Center. And I noticed here that you also have a Small Business Tax Series course.
Yes. The Tax Series course, as I mentioned, is going to come up in June. For a small business owner, they need to make sure that they are complying with IRS regulations. They're keeping the proper paperwork. They should be prepared should
Sure.
they get audited. Hopefully they won't get audited, but if they should, they ought to know what kind of questions are going to be asked. They ought to be familiar with the Texas Comptroller's Office when it comes to collecting and paying their taxes, if it is a taxable
Sure.
entity. And they need to be familiar with what's the difference between having an employee in the business versus a contractor. Quite often we get businesses that come to us and they say, I'm not going to have any employees.
Right.
They're all going to be independent contractors, and we'll advise them. We'll say, well, you may not be able to do that. That may not be a legal
Right.
thing that you can do. You can get yourself into trouble. So we will educate them, and this course is going to cover a lot of those items in terms of employee classification, payroll issues, tax issues. It's going to be a great course for small business owners.
And one of the things that I ran into in dealing with small businesses is that usually you might not get audited by the IRS, but the state agency you probably will,
Right.
such as the state comptroller or the Texas Workforce Commission. So their resources are more aimed at state businesses.
Correct.
So, wow, and we'll come back in a little bit and we'll talk more about some more courses that you offer in the second half of Making Sense. So we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you. Welcome to the second half of Making Sense, and I am here with Joe Ferguson, the director of the Small Business Development Center, and we're going to continue our discussion about the center. And what other workshops do you have plan coming up later on this year?
Okay. We're also, currently in process right now, and I expect we will continue to do this on a at least twice a year basis. We have something called the People Vet Program, and it's being basically sponsored by People Fund out of Austin, Texas. This particular program is specific to U.S. military veterans and their spouses and families. And it's a low-interest loan program, a microloan program that assists people that want to start businesses or are also currently in business that are veterans and that need some help.
Right.
And it's a way for this particular nonprofit lending agency to give back to veterans, to give them an opportunity to get low-interest loans to start their business or grow their business. And it's taking place currently at El Paso Community College at the Small Business Development Center. It's a 6-week program. We're going to conclude this in 3 more weeks, but I expect we're going to start it up again, probably take a 3-month break, start it up again. So I'd like people, if they are veterans or spouses of veterans, and they're looking at business loans, come to us. We can help them with various programs, including the People Vet program.
How has the enrollment been for that course?
Actually, we've got 10 people enrolled in the course, and I think for the first time doing it, that's great. Yeah. And we're helping those people to develop their business plans, their financial projections, and hopefully obtain funding for the projects that they're working on.
And you mentioned this nonprofit lending institution. Are they funded by the federal government to specifically help veterans or through grants?
They're really not funded by the federal government, but they are supported by big national banks, just like Lift Fund is here in El Paso, also being a nonprofit lender.
Right.
And they really reach out, and they do both these lending institutions do a great job with small businesses, and particularly with those businesses that whose owners maybe have less than perfect credit.
Right. And being here on the border, you mentioned as we were talking off camera about an international trade summit. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We've had an international trade summit that we've conducted at the Small Business Development Center for the last approximately 3 years. At first we were rolling it out every 6 months, but we've gone to an annual basis now. And the whole purpose of the International Trade Summit is to inform individuals that are business owners within our community that there are opportunities internationally for their products and services. And many times as a business owner, they tend to be focused only on the community, and they don't realize that sometimes maybe they have a product or service that could be internationally accepted. The seminar is a totally free seminar.
Wow.
And we're going to bring in an expert out of our regional office at the International Trade Center at the University of Texas, San Antonio, to assist us with the seminar. And for example, if you were to come into our center and inquire about international trade, and maybe you had a product or service that you thought maybe could be exportable, we can not only tell you which countries would be interested in buying your product, we can tell you which companies and which individuals within those companies, and give you contact information with phone numbers, addresses of the individuals to contact all over the world that are interested in your particular product and service.
What if I had a product that maybe I was looking to be manufactured elsewhere, such as maybe let's say China or Mexico? Would you be able to assist me with that? Get me some contact and resource information?
We could probably assist you in that area as well, because we do try to stay in touch with not only the sales side, but maybe the sourcing side,
right.
Because they usually go hand in hand in many instances. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a couple people within our center that have international sourcing experience and manufacturing experience, and a lot of those same players are still out there, even though there are things that change over time. But that International Trade Summit, as I mentioned, will be totally free, and we hope to get approximately even 15 people within the El Paso community that are interested in finding out more about that. One of the things that we've found on previous seminars is there's a reluctance to try to sell products internationally because I think it's very complicated, and it really isn't as complicated as it seems, and we can make it a very seamless event and connect them with the right people to show them how to do it, show them how they collect their money, how they the paperwork that's required to export into a particular country. This particular seminar that's coming up, we're going to concentrate more on exporting to Mexico because here we are on the border, and it just makes good sense. In the past, we've literally concentrated on a worldwide approach, but this one will be concentrated on Mexico. And I would encourage people to look at our website. We'll have the date posted there. We don't want to have the seminar until we have at least probably 10 interested professionals that are available to attend the seminar. It'll be a morning seminar for about 3 hours.
You know, I was looking at your website, and I also noticed that you have some free online training also as well, correct?
Yes.
You have mini courses that individuals can take at the comfort of their home, correct?
That is correct. I mean, almost any subject in small business, it's on our website, and if all they have to do is just sign up. There's no cost to do so, but they basically just register, and they can take any or all those courses. And at the end of the completion of a particular course, they can actually print out a certificate that says they've completed it. And in the past, believe it or not, some of the banks in the community, they encouraged that, and by showing the certificate, it met their technical assistance requirement in terms of their loans.
Wow. Definitely, as we mentioned before, some of the lenders want to have a entrepreneur, a business owner that's educated in business, because I think if you have that type of education, the failure rate certainly goes down.
Absolutely. And that's what banks are concerned about. Banks, for the most part, are very risk adverse, and if they have an educated business owner, not only is it easier for the banker to work with that business owner in understanding the requirements that the bank has, but just like you said, the business owner has a much greater opportunity to be successful if they're educated and they continue to educate themselves.
Right. And we will put up that web address for the Small Business Development Center, and I was just amazed at how many courses there are available online without even having to come here. And I think that's a great resource that I really even wasn't aware of until I visited the website.
Yeah, a lot of people don't take the opportunity to really go through all the various links that are on the website and the menus, and I would encourage them to do so, because I think they would find, even if they're not ready to start the business, they can learn about it, and it'll help them decide, do I want to be a business owner?
Right. And you also mentioned SCORE.
Yes.
And SCORE is
Service Corps, it's an acronym that stands for Service Corps of Retired Executives, and they're located at the Greater Chamber of Commerce building downtown.
But they work closely with you all, correct?
We are resource partners with them, with the SBA. It's a great group of individuals. Most of them, just like their name implies, are retired executives, and they've lived the business opportunities over the years. They're a great resource, and they're also a no-cost resource, just like we are.
So you have people with prior experience that can act as business advisors for your type of business. That's a different organization, and then you've got the Small Business Development Center, which has their own business advisors, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly correct.
Wow. So I am just amazed at all of this that the Small Business Development Center has to offer, sometimes at no cost or sometimes at very little cost, and how it can make a difference between helping a business succeed or not. And any closing comments that you might have for the audience with regards to the center?
Yeah, I would just like to encourage anybody that's entrepreneurial, has maybe wanted to start a business but is uncertain about what they need to do, or anybody that's currently in business that maybe hasn't met the objectives and the primary goals as to the reason they went into business, give us a call. That's all they need to do, 831-7743 or 831-7742, and we're there to help you. And as I mentioned earlier, It's, for the most part, at no cost. All of our business advising is no cost. And I promise you will walk away with value, something of value after the first session.
And do you have some sort of a library set up there? Like, if, for example, if an individual wanted to come in and do a little bit of research on their own, or any type of business publications or things?
We
of
actually
that?
have a very big library, and it's very underused. A lot of business publications. We also have access to a lot of business research sources that we subscribe to that maybe an individual couldn't afford to subscribe to, and we can pull up information on particular industries or on competition to assist a business to make those important decisions.
And especially as we were talking in a previous show about those trade industry journals that maybe they might be willing to subscribe or you might have access to. Correct?
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you, Joe, for taking part of your busy day to come over and not only do one show, but do two shows with us on the Small Business Development Center. And I think it's a resource that is great for small businesses and entrepreneurs, and great for the city of El Paso. And as you mentioned, not just the city, but you operate all the way up to Hudspeth County. And what a great resource. I hope the audience is more aware of using your services and getting enrolled in these courses in order to make that their business succeed. I want to thank you for your time, Joe.
And thank you so much for inviting me. And again, please utilize our services. As a taxpayer, you've paid for them.
Well, thank you very much to Mr. Joe Ferguson, the director of the Small Business Development Center, for taking his time to inform us about the center and all the wonderful resources that are available to entrepreneurs and small business owners. We'll see you next time on another edition of Making Sense. Thank you.